Kelly and Jesse, you take it from here, and then we'll do the we'll let you guys help us get the introductions of those who are on the call or on this webinar.
That sounds great. Thank you, Mark and Steve. We're delighted to be here. And Jesse and I are with the Young Entrepreneur Institute. I'm the program manager of the Pitch Challenge and here to help you guys have a great, successful pitch challenge. I'll let Jesse introduce yourselves, and then why don't we go around and have whoever's on the call introduce themselves, and then we'll start to work our way through the agenda.
Great, thanks, Kelly. I'm at Young Entrepreneur Institute also, and I'm the National Program Director. So I've worked really closely with Kelly in the development and rollout of this exciting opportunity for you.
Sounds great. Are there some others on the call that do you mind just going in line and introducing yourselves? We'd be appreciative.
Yeah, my name is Erica Chrysler, and I work for the before and after school program with the independent school districts. It's called Kids Safari, and I'm at Cordy Elementary. We actually just finished a big Shark Tank project, and our district highlighted it on their website. And then I got this email about this, so I'm really interested in just some new ways that we can integrate this into our program.
Great, Erica. That sounds like you've got a lot of knowledge already, and we would love to hear you add anything into this and ask questions and let us know what you've done in the past.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Gail Sharp. I am the Director of Youth Programs for Private and Behavioral Health in St. Louis, and just kind of on the call to see what this is all about and seeing how I can have some of my sites to implement it.
Sounds great. Thank you, Gail. And who else is out there?
Hello, my name is Steven. I work for the University of Missouri Extension as a county engagement specialist. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would add real quick, Stephen just introduced himself real quickly there as a part of the UMU extension as a specialist, but he is highly committed to entrepreneurship. And I met him actually when we were doing the MU Extension Summit earlier this fall, and we were actually doing a tour and hearing from the True Last School and looking at entrepreneurship and how the business school and what they do in entrepreneurship can support what we do in the field with MU Extension. And then he and I got to talking, and I knew he was working with Steve. So he is incredibly excited about what we're getting ready to do and hopefully be able to use in the field with what he does as well. And this is part of that key partnership with 4-H and Extension as we really extend out the breadth of entrepreneurship education among students and youth around the state. So thanks, Stephen, for being on here.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Has everybody spoken who was on the call? Great. Thank you so much. Well, we'll just continue here. And as I said, we can just keep it informal. Feel free to write questions in the chat box or just shout out questions or thoughts or anything that you have as we go along. So our agenda, we did the introductions. We thought we'd just do a quick bit on why entrepreneurship. We're going to go over the resources that we have for teaching about entrepreneurship. And then Steve and Mark will talk about how the pitch challenge is going to work, and then any questions and answers that you all have after that. So firstly, Mark, do you mind just talking a little bit about the three-prong approach?
Yes, and first of all, what I would say, and Steve will pop in with this as well, what I want to talk about is that, as a network, as a state network, we have three goals. And the first goal is to foster partnerships at the local, state, and national level to support after-school professionals and programs. And this is one of those. So this, I want Steve to talk directly about how this is going to unfold within this new grant, but this is the result of a second opportunity grant that we received from the Mott Foundation within less than a year. The first one was in college and career readiness, which we're calling career awareness and post-secondary access. And then we followed that up with getting this particular grant, and it's a 2-year grant for entrepreneurship education. And so what that does is it allows us the opportunity then to leverage that and help extend partnerships throughout the state with after-school programs, which also includes 4-H programs and the like through the extension. Steve, if you'll just speak to what we want to do here with this particular grant and how we're going to do that with the three-prong approach.
Sure. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mark. Yeah, as you've heard mentioned, the vision for this project is far-reaching and truly seeks to build upon the great work that all of you are already doing. It sounds like either in entrepreneurship or STEM and career and workforce development. So specifically, what we aim to do is not only increase access to the terrific partners and resources such as YEI, but also to look within our state of what's going on, who are the key partners in that entrepreneurial ecosystem, and key resources and partners within Missouri After School, and to begin to bring those together in kind of a systematic way to make sure there's a permanent place for youth and after-school programs in entrepreneurship in Missouri. So we're going to very shortly have a first state partners meeting, and then we're going to be having some meetings around the state in different regions over the next year to year and a half, and really trying to identify partners that maybe you already work with through your school districts, through your communities, maybe even in your region, but certainly hopefully some new partners and new resources that to this point maybe haven't partnered with after school. So there's much more to be said and done on that. Of course, I know the purpose of today is to really get you more connected with YEI and the tools and this opportunity this coming spring for the first pitch challenge. But there is much more of a sort of a systematic framework of trying to bring these things together, all with really trying to support our young people, Generation Z, and the entrepreneurial ideas and actions they're really already taken. So we're really trying to further get behind them. So we'll certainly have more to share on that as we get into this new year. But we are really excited for your interest and look forward to learning more with you.
Great. Thank you, Steve. Greatly appreciate it. And we're all very excited about everything. Jesse, do you just want to take a minute to talk about the Young Entrepreneur Institute and a little bit about our scope of responsibilities and what we do here?
Yeah, sure. So Young Entrepreneur Institute is based in Northeast Ohio. And so we've been working here for about 15 years, developing a really robust youth entrepreneurship education ecosystem. And so through the generosity of the Mott Foundation, we've been able to make our resources and consulting as well as curricular resources available nationally through our wonderful partners such as Mark and Steve. So some of the things we've been doing over the years, we've developed a speakers bureau where we engage with local people from the business community to come into classrooms after school and in school to share their experiences. We also have a nice repository of research about entrepreneurship education. You're welcome to investigate that on our website and draw information out of there to share the argument about why entrepreneurship anytime you need to make that case. We also, another program we do is the Young Entrepreneur Market, where students have the opportunity to operate a micro business for a day or more in a place where they can set up with access to great customer base without fees, such as farmers markets. We have grant funding that pays for their experience at the farmers market. They can do that at no cost. All of our programs are provided to educators and students at no cost. The Inspire Conference is an annual conference we hold in November for educators, and it's a 2-day event where there's an opportunity for peer-to-peer learning and hearing from nationally known speakers and authors all about 21st century, making the best of our 21st century teaching skills. And then we extend that through the year with educator retreats and cohorts, learning communities for the teachers to learn from each other. And then Lemonade Day is a national program that we host in Northeast Ohio. It's available all over the nation, and kids learn about It's actually appropriate for in different formats for K to 12, and kids can learn about business operating at a lemonade stand. And so now what we're going to be talking about today is our pitch challenge, where kids can have that opportunity to learn about expressing themselves and creating an exciting business idea.
Great. Thank you so much, Jesse. We appreciate it. Well, we're probably preaching a little bit to the choir here, as it sounds like you guys have already begun some entrepreneurship activities, but just to sort of follow up on that, and whether you call it workforce readiness or career readiness, what we all really want for our kids is life readiness. And these are skills for the 21st. And, you know, believe it or not, these kids will be alive in the 22nd century. And we would love to give them the entrepreneurial mindset. You know, whether they become an entrepreneur or not, it will help them throughout life. An entrepreneur is kind of a hard word to spell and a hard word to say, but when we ask kids, you know, what is an entrepreneur and do you know any entrepreneurs? A lot of the kids kind of won't raise their hands. But if you say, what is a side hustle and do you know people that have one, you'd be surprised how many kids have a lawn mowing business, or girls are selling bracelets at school, or they're selling snacks after school. So the sort of terminology side hustle really can resonate with kids. When they think of entrepreneur, they think of people that are rich and have big businesses, but it's really not that. And, you know, you think of businesses, but kids also are really interested in social and political initiatives. We did some pilots this summer in the Ohio area, and we were just shocked with the number of caring kind of ideas that the kids came up surrounding their communities and their family and friends that they wanted to help. So thinking about a side hustle, kids want to make a difference. You know, they want to do something that is great for the world, and they want to gain this entrepreneurial mindset. So our entrepreneur activities and other entrepreneur activities that are out there, you know, help them with hard skills like critical thinking, persuasive speaking, creative problem solving, and some soft skills, taking ownership of one's life, learning to overcome adversity, self-confidence. So it's amazing what these kids can gather from this type of mindset. We feel like our activities are fun, they're engaging, easy for you guys to use. We've done step-by-step materials out there, and it's a great complement. If you're already doing STEM or STEAM or JA or NIFTY, our materials are something that can fold in at any place and are a great attribute to any other programs you're doing. So we can help you with that. If you're already doing something and want to incorporate it, we can certainly help you with that. Our motto here at the Young Entrepreneur Institute is that every child should understand and experience entrepreneurship. So here in Ohio, as Jesse said, we have been doing some pitch contests, both live and video. We've done Selling Bee, which was our pitch contest for younger kids, K through 4, 5 through 8, and then our Teen Pitch Tank, and we've combined them all into one K through 12 this year for our pitch challenge. So I just wanted to give you a little taste of a couple winning pitches, and let me know if this comes across for you.
Hello, my name is Chris. Are you telling your parents saying that you're not responsible to have a pet? Do you want a furry friend? Now introducing Pet Paradise. It's a shelter that offers classes for kids to show their parents that they are responsible. They will take class and get a certificate at the end. There is no need to be part of pet. Tell your parents to sign you up now and get pet certified at Pet Paradise. Thanks for your business.
Isn't that cute? So, you know, that's a young boy named Chris who came up with that idea all by himself, offering courses in pets, which is a great idea. He had a passion for animals, and we thought he did a great job with that pitch. And this is another one for you.
Do you love playing on the playground? Well, so do I. But have you ever tried going down the slide when it's too sunny? Ouch! Or too wet? Ick. Or has too much bird poop on it? Ew! Well, I don't like that either, so you need to try Kids Rug Rugs. These rugs not only protect your bottom from heat, wetness, and messes, it helps you go down your favorite ride with extra speed. And extra speed is extra fun. You can get these durable, water-resistant slides in different colors, patterns, and styles for $14.99. Shop and order yours today at www.kidsrugrides.com. This ride will have you outside in no time.
Wasn't she cute? And, you know, she did a great job sort of telling you what it was, giving you her advantages, and a call to action. So she was another one of our winning pitches. I'm going to pass it over to Jesse in a minute, but just to let you know, this is a picture of the front of our toolkit. It's a free resource for you. It has instructions, worksheets, videos, and it has videos. Not only are there more of these type of videos for you to see, there are good and bad pitch videos. There are videos that go with each lesson. We have a section on planning tools, hosting, and blank worksheets and forms. So it's a fun, easy, and effective way to use that. And we can tell you at the end how to sign up for it, but it's just a simple, 1-minute registration, and then you will have everything at your fingertips. This is what the folder looks like with everything in it. And as we move along, we will, make additions and revisions and just keep adding fun things to the folder for you. So I'm going to pass it along to Jesse just to do a quick review of what that toolkit does look like. So I'm going to stop my share, Jesse, and maybe you can start your share.
All right. Thank you, Kelly.
You're very welcome.
Get over here to my toolkit. Excuse me, I suddenly got a frog in my throat. All right. So the Pitch Challenge Toolkit has now been divided into 3 sections. When you register online for the free resource, you'll receive a link to a Google folder, which you just saw, that Kelly just showed you. We're going to look today at the teaching a pitch challenge, but there's also a section on hosting a challenge. There's a little bit of hosting as far as just doing it in your own program here in the teaching guide. And then the 3rd section has all the blank worksheets as well as some case studies where you can see all the blank worksheets filled out with examples of different student businesses. So moving right along. There we go. My button. So the first couple pages give you some good language to make that case for why entrepreneurship, why the pitch challenge, what does this do for you, and how will it benefit your kids in your program. It's a great way to engage with the community. Really, that's a big message here, that there are opportunities to connect with adults as judges, to bring in speakers, and certainly the culminating events are a great way to showcase the talents of your kids and the great things that are going on inside your program. This is a great thing that we've seen programs do for Lights On After School, for example. This page here lays out what each one of the lessons looks like. So, and gives you sort of a guideline of how to jump in. So you'll be setting the stage by explaining what the challenge is and its benefits, what are the prizes, what are the details, how do the kids need to prepare. And then each lesson is laid out here. It starts with a warm-up and then goes through the main events for the day. And each one also in every day that it's a 5-session program, and each day also includes a pitching activity. We believe that the more opportunity the kids have to practice that skill, the more comfortable they'll be when they get to that final point where they need to get up in front of a bigger audience and the stakes are higher. The other thing that we include in each lesson are some opportunities to expand the learning through the addition of other curriculum. Mark mentioned Venture Lab is another one of the content partners, and they have excellent free curriculum. There's a link here. There's a live link right in the PDF. And then within each one of our exercises, there's specific activities called out from Venture Lab content that support well those particular activities. So you'll see that as we move into it. People Rocket is another resource that's available through this link here. These are exercises. They're, I think of them kind of as open source exercises, so they may be familiar if you've done anything with design thinking or some of the other creativity workshops that are, you see these out in the creativity and STEM space. This was put together in collaboration with Stanford Design School for one of our Inspire conferences a few years ago. And so there's some supporting activities that you can do if you wanted to expand the learning beyond the minimum 5 days. So moving into the exercise. So this is what the framework looks like. And so these 5 lessons, I say 5, but there's really, the content is really happening in the first 3 buttons here. So there's problem identification, business opportunity identification. So here's where the kids are defining a business opportunity based on the problems that they identified and connecting those. And then the third one is where they're developing the rest of their content for their pitch and structuring it. And so by the time they're done with those first 3 lessons, and those can be, a 45 to 60 minute lesson, and then by the time they're done with that, they've got a pitch script. Now the reason that we added the additional 2 activities here is to give the kids, to emphasize the importance of practice for the kids. So when we've done early on, when we were doing the pitch contest, we would try to do a 1-day workshop where the kids were filming a pitch at the end to enter into the video contest. And they really hadn't had enough time to sit with the material to feel really confident about their content. So we've added in that extra day where they have, we have structured activities that will help them go through that iterative practice to get a better and better feeling for their pitch. So then in the final event, in the case of a video pitch contest, they would be filming and having a chance for their reflection then. If it's a live event, then that represents their participation in the live event, but certainly always want to have an opportunity for reflection at the end of the experience. All right, so moving right along, and if you have any questions, like Kelly said, feel free to type them in the chat box as we're going through this. So in problem identification, really the reason that we separated this out from the business opportunity, and if you're really pressed for time, you can combine these two things. The nice thing about separating them, if you're familiar with design thinking from any STEM workshops, having the opportunity to think separately about a problem identification and solution identification can greatly increase the opportunity for creative problem solving. And so it's reinforcing some creativity skills as well as critical thinking skills to have those two different processes separate. But as you see here, each one of our lessons has the goals stated here and what the expected outcome is. And here are those links to the further resources that I talked about. And of course, there are always, lots of different opportunities to expand on these, but this is a way that you're able to accomplish it in a minimum amount of time. So here is, so here they're having their pitch activity that I talked about, and we start kind of simple with the pitch activities and go into a little bit more complex things. So in the first one, they're not expected to create anything to present. They're just going to be practicing with a script. And so it's already scripted there. You can use this one, you can make up your own, you can find other ones online. So the point here is that they're getting comfortable with just getting up and speaking, and they can be working on that area first. In the next day, we've got business opportunity, and I'm going to jump ahead here to this Venn diagram. So this is reinforcing the idea that a business opportunity can only be successful if it's serving a need or solving a problem in the community, and also successful entrepreneurs have to know about and be good at and love the things that are the basis for their business. So what are you bringing to the table as a student to make this possible? And the content that you see filled out in here is an example from one of our workshops. So when we do this with students, we usually fill one of these out all together. So it's got lots of different problems, lots of different skills and resources. And then we look at ways to connect those, which is a really fun critical thinking building exercise. And then the kids can then take their blank one and go from there. But one of the things that's really great to see with the kids with this exercise, this and the previous one, whether you do them together or separately, is a lot of times, even at the high school level, a lot of times kids have not really thought of themselves as problem solvers. And it's a real aha moment. And I think it really empowers them. You see them starting to think of opportunity in a different way. And the opportunity also for them to think through what skills and resources they have is a really confidence building thing. And we've seen great turnarounds of kids' attitudes coming through this exercise. So it's been really impactful with all ages of kids we've worked with. So here's an example then. We use a case study here. The current case study we have in the toolkit is Sam's after school snack cart, where he's going to be operating it at the school. And so that's what you'll see going through this case study, but there are others in there as well. So the next part of this lesson is talking about value proposition. And we do this both in this activity and in the next activity, because that can be a new idea for kids, and they need some exposure, some time to think about it from different aspects. But and this is a standard value proposition matrix like you'd see in business, and so they're looking at customer both from the standpoint of who is your target customer. Like a lot of times kids will say, well, anybody who's got money is my customer, but it's great for them to have the opportunity to dig deeper into that, to think about, well, it's really one specific target. It's not necessarily everybody. The other aspect here is who is your consumer versus customer. And Sam's Snack Cart is an example where it may be the parents are the ones who are paying for it, but the kids at school are the ones who are eating it. And so that's another layer for the kids to kind of, it's a new way for a lot of them to think. For team or you, here they're thinking about what makes you unique, uniquely well suited to doing this. So it's more reinforcement of that idea. And then the problem is, a restatement of, what is it that you're doing? There's a video in the toolkit now that I think is a wonderful. It introduces all kinds of different thinking models, but it's called the milkshake video, and it introduces the idea of hiring a product to solve your problem. So in the case of that video, what problem are you hiring the milkshake to solve? And it's a neat way to kind of turn around the perspective of solving the problem. And so what problem are your customers hiring your product or service to solve? And then for solution, this goes beyond just what is your product, but what makes it uniquely different. Who are your competitors? Understanding who your competitors are. And sometimes kids will think either there are no competitors, in which case that's, they might think that's a good thing, but sometimes that's a red flag. If there are no competitors, is there actually a demand for your product? Or maybe you're not digging deep enough. Maybe, and we often use the example of Uber. When Uber first came out, you could say they didn't have any competitors because nobody else was doing, app-based ride on demand request, but that problem had been being solved for many years. And so this is, when you put it in that perspective, like, oh, now who are those competitors? And you can come up with taxis, driving your friend, walking, taking public transportation. And so there's a lot of opportunity for critical thinking here. And so they, thinking through that process gives them a lot of opportunity to really hone in on what's going to be persuasive content for their pitch. And then we've got another pitching exercise. Then in content and structure, we use another common business tool called the message map, where we've basically given them an outline here that they can use to create a pitch script. There are many different ways to solve this problem. This is just one. This works really well for product businesses. It can also work well for service businesses. So it's a nice kind of all-round solution. And one of the big factors or elements of this is the hook. So, what is this? What are you going to say that's going to capture the attention of your audience when you open your pitch? Like Chris said in his winning pitch, no one should be without a pet. There's no reason that you should be without a pet, and that grabs your attention. And then the advantages. So you can have, up to 3 advantages and then some additional detail. And this is really where you expand out your pitch. So in our contest, we have our youngest kids are doing pitches that may be only about 30 seconds long. But when you get up to the high school level, maybe it's a 90-second pitch. And this is really where you can be building it out, like what makes your product really unique and better. And then always a call to action, like Kelly mentioned, Allie had in her pitch, at the end, got kids rug rides to order today. And so, for authenticity, it's important to be able to close the loop and tell your customers how to get in touch with you. Of course, in the case of many of these pitches in our contest, the kids are not expected to start the business. So in most cases, it's going to be a fictitious call to action. So the website doesn't really exist. It's maybe better to use a phone number if you're talking about like a babysitting or lawn mowing business. So making sure that the call to action fits. But then this is a script that they can use to capture all of that information for their pitch. And then we're moving on to the practice. And so we've got, like Kelly said, there are good and bad pitches out there you can use. And the pen exercise is the one here. There's a wonderful exercise. When we go into a more in-depth training, we do this live, and it's a lot of fun. This one we always tie with the milkshake because it introduces this idea of what job are you hiring each individual kind of pen to solve for you. And then we also have this sheet that gives you all of this is kind of an answer sheet the way we use it. So we'll start out with either modeling good and bad pitches for the kids or having them look at videos, either the ones in our folder, you can find others online, where kids are like deliberately breaking all the rules of, mumbling, chewing gum, being in bad lighting, having, sound, sound interference, like all the different things that they might be able to, that might go wrong in a pitch. And so having the kids go through the exercise of identifying those, whether it's, in you modeling or watching them in a video, then after they've gone through that, they can have this sheet as a nice checklist to them, that then they're going back in. And one of the practice mechanisms that we recommend is filming themselves so they can watch the video, and everybody hates to see themselves on video. And so they can see the things that maybe they didn't realize that they're swaying back and forth when they're pitching, and that's something that they need to work on. And so this is something they can use as they're going through that iterative practice. And so we also have a section, a lot of detail here on coaching and filming, because we have this long history of video contests. So that's all available to you, even whether you're entering video or just doing it to reinforce the learning for the kids. On a page of notes, and that's it for the teaching section. So I guess I will turn it back over to you guys, but I welcome any questions you have about this content.
Any questions anybody can think of?
So Jesse, what's the time period in laying all that? What typically, that may be a question folks have, what's a typical time period leading up? We'll talk a little bit about leading up to our pitch challenge, but in delivering the content, what do you guys see as maybe a best practice or a more common practice in terms of time frame in doing this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it works, like I said, having some time for the kids to sit with the material in between sessions is valuable, but it can work well as, once a day for 5 days, 1 hour a day for 5 days. It can work well as 1 hour a week for 5 weeks. So it can be pretty spread out. One of our teachers who routinely has winning pitches does it over a period of about 2 weeks, and with a weekend in the middle for the kids to have that as a homework idea to be cogitating on. So giving them that space. But here in our out of school time programs, commonly the kids are spending, maybe 1 to 2 hours a week over 3 to 6 weeks on the material. That gives them plenty of time to reinforce their practice and come up with a really good performance.
But as Jesse also pointed out, Venture Lab and People Rocket, if you do want to make sessions longer and use more time, we can help you fill in, if you want more information on some area of the pitch challenge, or, want to add lessons, we can help you with that. There's a lot of material out there to make it longer if you wish.
Awesome. Yeah, because each program, and the folks on the call could speak to that, each program has a variety of ways in which they deliver their curriculum or their what they're going to do in a unit or whatever, and knowing what those options are really good for them as well. So yeah, good.
And I'll also mention, if you're already doing something with a project that could add, pitching could be an add-on, STEM is a natural fit because the kids often are, going to have the opportunity to present their idea together. You can use the problem identification and solution identification that came out of that and just plug in the later part of these exercises into that existing program, in which case the amount of time you're spending on this content is less because you're not using the first 2 steps. So, it's modular and easy to plug into other activities.
Also, I know this can be done as an individual or can be done in small groups. What has been the feedback as far as how how students then react to that, whether it's a group based or it's an individual based assignment or lesson or whatever?
Yeah, so it's interesting. We've got a program kicking off tomorrow in Michigan that's for high school students. And last year when they ran it, it was an individual project. And this year they will have it will culminate into an individual pitch contest. but they're expanding with a different curriculum that gives the kids a chance to work together in teams. Kelly had an experience this summer where collaboration was a really big deal. It was a big value to the kids, but we always think that having the opportunity for every child to be having the pitch experience is valuable. So they get a lot out of the collaboration and as far as the development of the idea and the teamwork there. But I think it really can go either way. You know, the way they're going to be doing it in Michigan, not every student will have to present. They have the option to present because some kids really are much more interested in being behind the scenes and, you know, they're interested in the engineering part of it, but they really don't want to be the presenter. I would argue they all should have that experience, but, you know, I think it really depends on your program. And I think here in our region where we've been doing the pitch contest for a long time, it goes both ways, but it's really, even when we're teaching educators in this and we run it as a contest where they have to present at the end, even when they're, you know, saying, oh, I don't want to get up there, and having had that experience, they're always sort of grateful for that opportunity to have opened up and been vulnerable. And so we really like to see every child have that experience.
Jesse and Kelly, could you speak to the actual pitch event that maybe each site would have and sort of the spectrum from maybe smaller group, just mostly internal kids in our after-school program and maybe staff and volunteers, all the way to more of a community-facing you know, event that is like a celebration with lots of guests and a bigger crowd? I would imagine there's a wide spectrum there of possibilities. And I think what we would want to emphasize is there's a lot of flexibility for programs to kind of figure out what can we do and what makes sense based on whether we've done this or we're going to try this for the first time.
Kelly, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the experiences you've seen?
Sure. Do you guys, Mark and Steve, do you want to tell them a little bit about your thought, like them holding and then sort of what the finale is, just so they have that sort of in their background, and then we could go into a couple of things like that?
Absolutely. Steve, jump in with me on this. And so one of the reason we're doing this today, and then we're going to follow this up. By the way, this is being recorded for those who couldn't be on this. We're going to continue to promote this to other program and site administrators, but we're also going to do a follow-up training for frontline staff in 2 weeks on the 28th of January from 6 to 8. We're going to carve out a 2-hour period of time. It may not go 2 hours, but at least we'll have that period of time available. We'll start at 6 o'clock Central Time for frontline staff for any programs that want to take this to the next step. So I just want to make sure I get that out there as a promo to say this is going to be an ongoing process. But our goal here is to dive in and have our first statewide pitch challenge and do that during our Show Me After School Showcase during Show Me Mizzou Day on Saturday, April 18th. Now, to lead up to that, each program will then conduct their own pitch challenges, and the winners of those would then have the opportunity to come and pitch at the state contest to get some fun prizes. So I just kind of want to give you an idea that this is us beginning this process and jumping into it pretty quickly. And so, Steve, you can speak to that as well as to kind of what we want to see happen here.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And just as he shared, this first pitch challenge, kind of an inaugural pitch challenge, will be an opportunity for after-school programs that maybe are already doing something such as Erica mentioned, I think a Shark Tank program, to pick 1 or 2 students to participate in this event. Or if it's an after-school program that is going to try this for the first time, to run that pilot and then identify a couple kids who would like to go on and do this. And the day there on April 18th, it's going to be a showcase of after-school in Missouri. So not only will be the Young Entrepreneur Pitch Challenge, but also a robotics contest. I think there's an engineering challenge, and then also a chess program that will all be taking place on site kind of simultaneously, approximately between 10 and 2 that day. So more details to be worked out, but the idea would be for after school programs, youth, families to come and spend a part of the day on the MU campus. Last year at this time for that event, there were over 100 different interactive displays and places to go and pick up things. So the campus is really opening up Mizzou statewide for folks to come and see what their land-grant university can offer. And this after-school showcase, of course, is a way to shine that spotlight on the amazing things that are going on around the state. So we do have more, details coming together on that, but that's really the opportunity we hope to create.
Yeah, and I would also add to that, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the CAPSA opportunity with this too, because of the fact that it is a university-wide event. You've got all the colleges, the various programs are going to be presenting and having opportunities for interaction. So if you bring students to this event and participate in the Missouri After School Network opportunities, whether that's in the pitch challenge or the robotics or the chess or engineering challenge, then there's other opportunities for students to be exposed to possible careers and for parents to come with them if they desire. But it really does have a great opportunity to create some breadth for your program to introduce your students to a variety of opportunities for them.
Boy, Mark and Steve, it sure sounds like an awesome day, and it's so fun that you're starting with your inaugural pitch at that day with the community and the university and everybody. I think it's going to be super. So just to follow up a little bit on that in terms of, so what you all would be doing is doing just sort of a pitch challenge in your after-school program. And that can run anywhere. I mean, depending how many students you have, you could have, I don't know, as many as 2 to, I don't know if you could have 30 or 40. So there are just different ways that you can do that. We usually, and we will send you as you register, we have a hosting section, and we usually start with the end in mind. So if and there's a timeline in this piece too. So if you want to have your chosen people by the end of April, let's say, or in March, then you would work backwards, figure out how many days you're going to do, how many lessons you're going to do, and make your lesson plan. And in terms of actually hosting it, you can go big or you can go little. You could, have as few as maybe, a couple of judges from inside your program or your community, or you can have more judges, 4 or 5, if you've got a lot of kids. And you can look at your business community, your entrepreneurial community, check your business advisory board, your local people, friends, family, anybody like that, that might be a good fit. And I'm sure Mark and Steve can help you in several of the areas if you need help finding judges. And then Mark and Steve, in terms of prizes, would they be getting their own type of prizes, or is that something that might be supplied? Do you know what the follow-up is on that, or?
Yeah, so for the state pitch challenge, there will be cash prizes, gift cards, and other accessories for young aspiring entrepreneurs. So we're working on those details, but those would be expected. Multiple winners will be selected from the group. And also, of course, every young person who participates in this youth-friendly competition will be recognized. So we're certainly placing emphasis on every young person. And while there will be, so to speak, some winners or champions, it will be a very friendly and fun environment.
I also want to, go ahead. I'm sorry. Does somebody else have a question?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I heard somebody instead of a shark tank, call it a dolphin tank.
Make it friendly.
We called ours the Tiger Den when we did ours when I was in Hollister. I would also, and speaking of which, because Erica talked about they just did their Shark Tank. And Steve, I meant to jump in earlier and thought, well, I'll just talk about this toward the end. But Steve mentioned that one of our goals with this is to help programs, when we talk about, fostering partnerships around the state and in local context. And Erica is a great example of that by already using one of the universities, a part of the MU system, because she's tapped into UMKC's entrepreneurship program and has used their their particular resources. What I love about Erica is that she's always looking for new and exciting ways to do some things that she's already done, and that's part of the reason she's on here. I hope though that she'll also bring some kids to the pitch challenge, because she's got some great pictures already out there. And so maybe what it can do is she could tweak it a little bit, maybe do it again, or build on what she's already done. That's up to her and her local context. But I wanted to bring that out, that that's one of our goals, is to help programs know what's available in their area to support them in this endeavor for multiple resources.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And if I could tag on that, I thought I might be more explicit about the partners that we are bringing to the table statewide, and also sort of this model for the program and what we hope we can help folks put in place, going forward. So some of those specific partners are Missouri SourceLink, Missouri Intern Connect through the Missouri State Chamber, certainly our network of small business development centers around the state that counsel business owners and entrepreneurs. Each of our university-based entrepreneurship programs within the system, so that would include UMKC, but also not overlooking, we've got some incredible community colleges and technical schools that are nurturing entrepreneurs, and some that have had, received state level recognition. And the EQ Entrepreneurship Quest program for student entrepreneurs through the system are all amazing resources that we hope to connect and again, elevate those. What are those local resources that are close to after school programs? And kind of really the design behind this is hopefully kids participating in something like a pitch challenge will maybe be exposed to this, have a first experience, but then want to proceed further into specific skill building, immersion kinds of experiences, and ultimately, launching or going forward with their businesses and being connected to people, both adults and other youth, that can help them. So we're kind of going with an accelerator without walls approach statewide through after school programs. And I just had a meeting yesterday with a partner that, for instance, she told me the story of what I would call a master maker who could be a mentor for a young person who worked with a college student on a prototype and built something for $180 that that student, otherwise it would have cost them thousands of dollars to build. So there's some very real skills out there and some people who are ready, I think, to connect with younger entrepreneurs if we can help create that. So that's a little bit more of where we hope this goes. And this is, again, an incredible opportunity for exposure, education, and motivation of young people to take those first steps.
And it would, and I would add on too, it would be great. One of the cool things would be kind of a full circle would be even our early participants in the statewide pitch challenge. When we look at doing young entrepreneur marketplaces in the future, that some of those winners we would see at a young entrepreneur marketplace, presenting their particular idea and it coming to fruition. So that'd be kind of that's that full circle, hopefully, that we get to see in this process.
Absolutely.
Somebody that we used is in our high schools, the way that they have kind of structured that is they're called career academies. So right before you enter high school, you there's different avenues that people think that they might, different types of work that they would want to go into, and that is their high school education. They can also take dual credit. And so our kids in Independence, they are getting to graduate high school with a high school diploma and an associate's degree, but they've turned our Independence Square into various businesses. So they just opened a bank for people that want to go into finance. And so it's the first bank in the country ran by, students. And then we also have something that's called All Things Independence. And they actually did our conference t-shirts about 4 years ago. But in the front of the building is where they run the building or run the business. And in the middle is their classroom. And then in the back is where they do all the t-shirts and spiritware and everything for the district. But they have, a culinary, and they run a bakery. They go where they have purchased foreclosed homes and they go and do that. But we tapped into our career academies. And we had people from our business academy come in, and they were kind of mentors to our kids when we were working in our Shark Tank. And our kids love it. They love any visitors that come in, but we really try and use them to kind of introduce the different avenues and areas that the kids can tap into once they enter high school. So it's been really beneficial, you know, for the high school students as well as our kids.
Wow, that sounds great, Erica. Really neat. And I know I was going to say in the toolkit, as you just said, it talks about seeing if you can get local entrepreneurs to come in and talk to the kids, and you know, or if possible, to visit their place of business, to have them see even the local pizza parlor. You know, it could be an entrepreneur. And we did, somebody did a study of high school, a focus group of high school kids this year. And one thing that they really liked was having sort of young entrepreneurs. So people that they can relate to, as you were talking to Steve at the university. So people that aren't that much older and they think, well, I could do that, you know, and he's not way older than I am. So just 2 points. And I also just wanted to let you guys know that in the hosting section is all the information that you need for your judges. It gives you information on how to find them. And it also has a judging rubric in a form like that. We keep it pretty simple, but it's a great way just to use it and keep it easy.
And actually speaking, thanks for mentioning that, Kelly. And speaking of the judging rubric, when you're talking about hosting a contest just within your own program to identify those winners, you can even use that, you know, that rubric can be used by anyone. We've had programs where the students use the rubric to evaluate each other. And so, you know, that's always an option too, if there's a, you know, a constraint about time, or, you know, it's tough to find volunteers. That's a way to do it. It's always nice to have the showcase and have people come in from the outside, but that's a way to simplify the program if you need to.
Sounds good. I think we've already pretty much covered all these great benefits to the program. Fun, easy. It's great for the staff. Students enjoy it. As Erica said, it sounds like your kids have loved it. Engaged learning, supporting college and career readiness efforts, the program and district, and connecting with families in a new way, engaging local businesses and organization, and supports program sustainability. So a lot of great benefits to the program. And then these were just some supports that I think we've gone over as well, but free resources through YEI. We are grant funded, and everything we do is available to you free of charge, and the Venture Lab, and then any other curriculum you need, we are happy to find for you. We're happy to do monthly webinars if needed, or check-ins. We are on demand. We're available by email, by phone, and by Zoom, as we were on. And hopefully we'll have a great sort of learning community with other programs that will be involved in this inaugural pitch challenge. And we would also love to do, if you're interested, as you get down to the end, for the kids that are going to go to the final pitch challenge, to do youth peer check-in, and we can put on some of our winners in pitch challenges to just talk to the kids, and they can ask questions and talk to somebody their age. So those are kind of supports for the programs. And then maybe I'll let Steve and Mark just kind of go over this timetable a little bit.
Yeah, as we said earlier, this is the beginning, and we're going to follow this up with a January 28th Zoom training for frontline staff. It'll also be for administrators who may not have gotten to be on this, or they may watch this video and say, hey, I want to take it to the next step. But we will do another training in 2 weeks. At 6 p.m. Central. We really wanted to plan that after programming, so that if those of you who are site and program administrators want to, you pick out a couple of key people in frontline that you want to hand this off and let them run with it. Then it allows them to finish their day and then have some additional training available to them. Then we will have site access to the YEI pitch toolkits, and you can start planning your local program beginning February the 1st. And then we're setting up we'd love for programs to sign up if they're going to participate in the statewide pitch challenge by mid-February. So it gives us an idea of how many folks are moving toward that. Obviously, there may be some folks that come into it a little later, but we at least want to try to get a general idea. So that's why we're doing a lot of promotion here on the front side.
Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's right. I should put a heart there.
Steven, you can finish this out if you want to.
Sure. Okay. No problem. Thank you, Mark. So yeah, again, potentially February through March for pilot programs to run their pitch. As Jesse and Kelly described, could be as short as 5 days or stretch over 4 to 6 weeks. And then a due date, and this is kind of a soft due date, like Mark mentioned, but a due date for the youth registrations of the youth who have either, expressed interest or been selected by their sites on April 3rd. And then our YEI friends here have offered to do a check-in with those youth as they're prepping for their pitch at the After School Challenge contest on April 7th. And then the event itself, again, on campus, April 18th. We've got, of course, a structure in place, but certainly more details to be coming together as we move into the spring. So hopefully that gives you a look at the chronology that we have in mind to support you in moving on up to a big event.
Looks great. You know, on behalf of all of us, we just want to say thank you. We're here for you. We're here to help. Here are all our emails, and we look forward to working with you. And what other questions might you have for anybody here? Any thoughts? Everything seems doable. Any concerns or?
I was going to ask Gail if she could. Gail, remind me how many different sites that you guys are overseeing at Provident.
We oversee 10 sites currently, and I am looking to actually open up 2 more sites end of January, beginning of February.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if they will be in this, maybe not because they're just opening up, but I am going to pitch this out to the other sites. So
awesome. Now, and your ages, do you guys also serve high school, or is it kindergarten through middle school?
Kindergarten through middle school.
I thought so. Okay. Still, again, and we're still talking about how we might do this, but because a lot of middle schools in the state of Missouri are 6 through 8, we've talked about doing K-5 and then 6, 8, and 9, 12. Although our friends at YEI said they've done it K-4, 5, 8, and 9, 12. But we'll figure that out. But just know that elementary pitchers will be against elementary pitchers. Okay. Middle school pitchers will compete against middle school pitchers, and high school pitchers will compete against high school pitchers. And we're not talking about throwing a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. We're talking about pitching their ideas.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. And Stephen, if I could, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm just curious, perhaps, if you see some connections in your area or region there in Johnson County, whether to after-school programs, or I know you've done the Kidpreneur Spin Club last summer. It sounds like have plans to do that again. So just curious what your thoughts are at this point.
Yeah, I've been thinking about, like, we've already had we had a kidpreneurship program, and we incorporated some of these where kids came up with their own project, and they had to pitch it at the end. It wasn't it wasn't like a competition, but they had to express their ideas in front of their parents and their peers who were in attendance. I might need to visit with Kim about what other areas we could explore this in. My other question was about 28th of Jan. I don't know, are you doing some training? Because it looks like it's conflicting with another program, which is a business and communities conference.
Yeah, that if we could go back to the timeline slide there quickly, I think that is an evening session for frontline staff. So those who are working directly with young people in after-school programs. Okay. So if there are, again, folks in your network who are interested in this, who'd like to plug in, that might be an opportunity to kind of hear a very similar presentation here, but with maybe a little more emphasis on how to actually implement the program.
Okay.
So we want, again, our goal here, and we are just getting started. One of the things that's been fun is that we actually got a little bit of a jump start by having Kelly and Jesse at MOSAC. We got a little bit of a jump start because we didn't officially begin this initiative until January 1. But because of Steve's, not only his enthusiasm, but also his expertise and his willingness to really get this thing rolling, we had some pre-planning that started so we could really hit the ground running January 3rd, I guess, but but anyway, January 1. And so this is just the beginning, but we are very excited about how we may build on this and really see it kind of layer up as we go across these next couple of years, and then have it as being a sustainable program beyond the grant too. That's the other side of it as well. And it become part of hopefully a culture throughout after-school programs and out-of-school time programs around the state, that we want to foster that entrepreneurial mindset and skill set in all avenues, so that, as we said earlier, these are about life skills for these kiddos, preparing them for success in all that they do. So, all right. Any other questions? Anything else anyone else wants to add to, we've gone over a couple of minutes, but we just want to make sure we cover everything.
And just so you know, the registration for the Young Entrepreneur Pitch Toolkit is yepitchchallenge.com, or if you just kind of Google us, Young Entrepreneur Institute, it's right on our pages, so you'll see it, but yepitchchallenge.com. I
would tell you, I'm incredibly excited about this. Less than a year after I went to my first introduction to YEI and the Pitch Challenge, we are doing this in the state of Missouri. I went to Greg's, I tell the story all the time, went to Greg's Spark session at NAA in New York City and came out of that thing fired up for my own personal program, and knew I was going to do it at my program, not knowing I'd be in this role at the state network. And so this is really, really cool for me. And I'm excited about the opportunity to get it all over the state.
Sounds great. Well, we too are thrilled to work with the state of Missouri.
Yeah, you've got some really exciting plans here. You're really going to be able to impact a lot of lives even in this very first year. So great job.
Right. And here it's only January 14th, and look where you are.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for being on here. Again, this has been recorded. If you want to come back and take a look at some more of this, or you've got a friend you want to say, hey, you need to see this, please let us know. We'll make it available. But again, we look forward to seeing more of you, more colleagues on this particular training and beyond. But we will do this again on January 28th at 6 p.m. We'll get details in the pipeline, as well as some individual emails out there as well as thank you, Erica, for promoting events on the Chat and Chew Facebook page, as well as the MASN Facebook page. We'll also be promoting these things as well. And we'll do the best we can to just continue to spread the word about entrepreneurship and what we can do to support programs throughout the state.
Great. Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Awesome. Have a great rest of the day and a great week ahead.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.